Hello, my planty people. So I've got some watering to do. I know that's a pretty boring and basic task, but as I've said in some previous videos, it's my slow season for my plants. I really do not have a whole lot going on at the moment. And I said that I will just try my best to take you all along on any and all planty things that I do. So I have a couple of other things as well. All of my plants need to be watered. We had some people over for the holidays, so everything got a little bit neglected for the last week or so. So definitely, I guess I figured I'd just show you guys how I water my plants, how I care for them, even in the downtime. Um, I have a pot that I ordered from Etsy. I believe it is a handmade pot, and it is this really pretty turquoise, teal, blue, green color. Seems to be one of my favorite colors at the moment. So I figured I would just do a tiny unboxing of that with you guys since it is unique and handmade. I want to check out how that turned out. It actually took a really long time to get here. Well, actually, I think it took a long time to ship because I don't know if they already had a few handmade or if they kind of just make them as they're ordered. But it finally got here yesterday. So I figured I would show you guys that, do the little unboxing of that because I'm actually pretty excited for it. I waited a long time for it. So we'll do that first, and then we'll get to some watering because all of my plants just about need some water. They're all quite thirsty. Um, the other thing that I do need to do, this poor guy up here, this little bonsai, really needs some help. Um, I think, I don't know, the leaves were falling off and they had some little black spots on them. So I'm thinking it might be suffering from some sort of fungal issue. So what I think I'm going to do, which I really don't want to, but I'm going to take it out of its pot and give the whole plant, roots included, a good spray down with some fungicide, um, and hope for the best. I'm going to try to save as much of this little moss covering as possible because I think it's just so adorable. But you can really tell that a lot of work has already gone into this plant. Like the shape of it is so gorgeous. So I'm going to do whatever I can to try to save it and hope that it works for me. I do see some new growth on it, so that gives me hope. But if it is suffering from any sort of fungal issue, I want to definitely try to get that taken care of. These little cacti also tend to need a new pot. They've been in this one for a while, so that might be something I throw in there. And then just some watering, really just some basics of how I care for my plants, I guess. Like I said, I know that's pretty boring and basic, but I really don't have a whole lot of anything else going on at the moment with the holidays and it just being a very slow season for me plant-wise. So anything and everything planty I do, I'm just trying to get it out there. So we'll do that. We're gonna do the pot first. I think it's kind of like this color, very similar, maybe a little bit lighter. Really love this color right now. So we'll just do the little unboxing of the pot first and then get on to some watering, and then I will try to do those other chores I was talking about with the bonsai and possibly repotting those little cacti. But yeah, I don't know. I like to start with my office watering wise because I typically tend to do my watering on the weekends. And some of the plants, a lot like the large ones, like this big Ficus altissima, I have a tray under it, so I water it in here. But a lot of them I have to bring to my kitchen to water them so that I don't drip water all over the place and ruin the floor. So it just depends on the size of the plant and if I have a tray under it and where exactly it's located. I try to keep them where they are, but sometimes that just doesn't always work out. But I try to start with my office first, just because by Monday morning, any of the plants that I have brought into the kitchen, I prefer them to be back in my office so that I have a pretty jungly space to work in. It really helps my mood while I'm working. So we start with the office. Yeah, let's go check out that pot and then we will start some watering. All right, so here we've got the pot in the box. It came from Hands and Fire in Douglasville, Georgia. Hands and Fire would be the Etsy shop that I purchased it from, and I'm excited. It's a very pretty color, and it took a while to get here, so I've been waiting for it for a little while. But while I'm unboxing this, I just figured I would also take the time to hope that you all had a wonderful, I don't like whatever you want to call it. If you call it Thanksgiving, Turkey Day, Ham Day, Family Day, Food Day, whatever. I hope that you all had a wonderful one of those. I know that we're all going to be, well, at least I'm going to be having another big holiday next month for Christmas. And so things are a little bit hectic. Things are moving a little bit slow for me, but doing my best. Yes, I was right. Handmade. It says, you're pretty darn cool for buying this handmade. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay. But yeah, I hope your guys' holiday season is going wonderful, whatever holidays you celebrate. If you're not celebrating any holidays, I hope that you're still having a wonderful season regardless. But I do want to just point that out that I am celebrating the holidays. My family is pretty big on the holidays, so I do have quite a few things going on right now, but and still working in the midst of everything. And it's the slow season for my plants, but I'm trying my best to just try to pump out anything and everything that I'm doing or that I have. So this is the little tray. I love this color. I think it is so pretty. Just the tray, and I love how swirl. Do you see the swirl in there? That's so pretty. Okay. Even the tray is absolutely gorgeous. Okay. Very well packaged. Oh my, that is so pretty. Very unique. Very pretty. Love the half and half coloring and the marks here. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is so pretty. I'm so excited that I finally got this. What a stunning little pot. And with its little tray, very pretty. Very excited about this. I think it's very pretty. I love the fact that it's handmade, so hopefully it's very unique. Yeah, I love the fact that they're handmade because that means, none of them are exactly the same. I love that uniqueness about just about anything. And I'm in love with these colors. I think it's stunning. Don't know exactly what my plans are for this pot yet. I might even just keep this one as a cover pot for whatever plants I have in like clear pots, just because it is so pretty. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, there's my beautiful pot that I have been waiting a while for. Very excited that I finally got it. Excited I got to share it with you guys. But I think now we need to get on to some watering. My plants are very, very thirsty. at the moment. Okay, so the way that I typically do my watering, it's really just kind of a process of think smarter, not harder type of thing. I do start with these little ones up on the shelf here. Now, most of these Hoyas, let me pick one up and show you, these little ones in these little black pots, they came in pon. So these ones I actually did put in a tray and bottom water the other night just because they tend to need a little bit more water or more frequent watering just because they are in the self-watering pond situation at the moment. I'm trying to leave them in here for as long as possible to let them grow the biggest root system that they possibly can before I put them into my mix. This one has some new growth. I'm so excited. So those ones I did already water the other night just because I was looking at them and they were like really, really in need of some water. And they are kind of in such a small, delicate, sensitive situation at the moment. I think I have a picture of them in the watering tray that I can try to put in so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But some of them, like, so this one was watered. This is the Jitta Silver, very cool, interesting Hoya. This one was also in that tray. This one, however, since it's in the bigger pot and in my substrate, this is a Hoya Super Silver. And this one needs to be watered, I think. Now, that's the other part of my watering, just because, like, I know that this needs to be watered because I know you get to know your plants, but just to be on the safe side, because I had so many issues in the past with overwatering plants and drowning them, I love using my little moisture meter. So what I do is I come in here and all of the plants that, like, especially the small ones, I just kind of go from this corner and move as I go. But this one, like, I know it needs to be watered, but I'm going to check it anyway. And it's in there all the way and it's dry. I'm sorry, I know this is a little bit backwards, but red is dry. So I know that that needs to be watered. So what I'll do is I'll check, a lot of them. Like this one I know needs watering. So I'm going to put this over here. These are some that go, in the kitchen for watering because they're sitting on wood shelves, and I don't want to ruin the shelves by leaking water. So these ones go into the kitchen for watering. This one also, I know that it needs to be watered. This is the Hoya Mathilde Splash. I wish I had some better lighting so you guys can see them a little better right now. This is just where we're at. So Hoya Mathilde Splash. This plant has really grown on me. It was kind of a random purchase from Home Depot. It wasn't like a wish list plant or anything, but I got it, and the more it grows, the more I'm falling in love with it. It's just a very interesting, cool little Hoya. But like I said, I know this one needs to be watered, and it does. So I'm going to put this one over with the other one. I tend to do the watering in batches, really, just because I only have so many trays that they can, leak their water into. So as soon as I end up filling those up, and then I have to wait for them to filter through their water so I can bring them back in here, that's kind of the way that my watering system goes. All of these Hoyas, this one was also in the tray. This is the Calistophylla. Supposed to be a black cat, but I'm starting to think that it's not. And it's struggling, honestly. Oh my gosh, is there spider mites? I think it's got spider mites. Well. We're gonna have to take a look at that later. Okay. These I know that you have heard all about. This one I just showed you, the Hoya Jitta Silver. This was in the tray. So we're going to leave this one because that was just the other night. This is another Hoya Super Silver. It was my propagation from my Big Mother plant. This one was also in the tray, so I know that one's good. We're going to leave that. This is the Hoya lacunosa Silver Lime, I believe. This was in the tray, so we're going to leave this one. I think I'm going to check this just to see, because I would really like to repot this. It's still in its nursery pot, and I got this at Walmart. I don't even know. It's a Mammillaria something. I'm not even going to try to say it. It's really cute, but I would like to repot it. So I'm going to check it. I like to do my repots when things are dry. Oh, that went all the way through the pot. And it is dry for the most part. Dry enough, I'd say, for a repot, but I'm going to leave this up here for now just because I don't want to water it until I repot it. So I'll let it soak up some more sun for a little bit while we do the rest of the watering. This is the one of my Hoya lacunosa somas. I love these. This one seems to be struggling for some reason, and I'm not too sure why. It's not that it's struggling, but it just seems like it's extra fragile and not really doing much. But I'm hoping to get it to a good place soon. Whereas the other one, this is also a Hoya lacunosa soma. This one is giving me new growth. It's doing very well. So I don't know, maybe that one just needs some extra time. I've got two Hoya lacunosa inner variegated. This one is giving me some new growth. Very excited. This one, not yet. Oh, it is. I see some little baby leaves in there. At some point, I want to put these together, but like I said, they're very fragile and tiny right now, and they're all in the pond, so I'm just kind of letting them hang out for now. And then last but not least, over here, I have the pot of gold, the Hoya, my gosh, what is it called? Hoya something pot of gold. Macrophylla, I think. This one's not in pond, but I did water it as well. So all of these got to sit in their water tray for a while the other night, so we're not going to be watering those today. Like I said, I'll try to put in a clip of that. This right here, let me move you down a little bit. Okay, this is a propagation of my Ficus altissima, Ficus lemon lime, Ficus golden gem, whatever you want to call it. There are many names. I watered it the other day as well because I was in here looking at things and I don't know what is going on, but these plants specifically, my Ficus altissimas, I've been getting aphids on them, and I saw some aphids on it, so I took it out to spray it and get rid of those aphids, and it needed watering, so I watered that one. So we're not going to do that. These, however, some of my all-time favorites, my Euphorbia variegated Amex, probably need watering. These guys tend to be really thirsty for succulents. It's very interesting, and then especially these pots that I have them in are very porous. So I know you guys can't really see that, but it is dry as a bone. So I'm going to put this over with the other ones. This is a set of my blue torch cacti, and that is also dry. I'm surprised. Double check it. Sometimes I like to double and triple check just because some spots may be dry and some might not, but it's dry. It wants some water, so we'll do this one. Okay, and then my euphorbias, both of these are the euphorbia variegated Amex, and they tend to be on the same schedule. They're in the same pot, they're in the same mix, they're on the same watering schedule. So I know that it's dry and it needs some water, but just to be safe, I'm going to check it anyway. So yes, that one is dry. Definitely needs some water. Okay, I've got some other little Hoyas over here. This is supposed to be the Hoya Crimson Princess. I know that this needs water, but just because I'm gonna check it anyway. Definitely needs some water. This is a Hoya Shining Sea Star. Now this one just got put into this new pot. It feels pretty light, so I'm gonna take a guess and say that it needs some water. But this one for sure I would want to check because it just got put into this pot. And sometimes when you first put something into a pot, it takes a while for the roots to adjust and for the plant itself to soak up the water. But it's dry, so we're gonna water this one too. This one I have in a cover pot, but it's actually in one of these clear pots. This is such a pretty Hoya Shining Sea Star, I believe. And then while we're here, just above these hanging, back this up a little bit, is my big mother plant, Hoya Super Silver. Pretty sure this one needs some water. This is another one that's like hit or miss. Sometimes it needs water and sometimes I'm like, oh, I think it needs water and it doesn't, but it is dry. So we're gonna water this one too. So like I said, everything got pretty neglected over this Thanksgiving week. So I'm pretty sure just about everything needs some water. But you know, some of them, like I keep saying, I like to check them anyway just to be sure because I'm kind of scarred. Like when I first started my planty journey, I ended up accidentally drowning like so many plants. So since then, I'm like, I'm just checking everything. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Okay, now we're kind of in the corner. Yes, I am typically starting with my smaller plants. It just tends to be like a nice, easy way to start this process, but I'm almost positive these little alocasias need some water, especially this one. Oh yeah, absolutely very dry. This one is also an Alocasia Frydek variegated, just a little bit bigger. This guy, I'm really kind of stuck in the 2-leaf club with this one. It's kind of sad, but you know, getting better. Definitely too dry. Let these guys go way too long on accident. And then this is my Alocasia Amazonica, I believe, elephant's ear. This one might be okay. Or maybe I should. I don't know. I might wait on this one until tomorrow just because half of it's dry, half of it's still moist. So we might wait on that one. This is my Philodendron White Knight. Check this one. I'm not too sure about this one. This one is dry. It is dry. I need some water. So do this one today. Okay, so we're gonna kind of switch gears here now. So this is kind of like what I meant when I'm like, I like to do things in batches. So all of these plants just got brought out to the kitchen from my office. And I fill up this little section of my kitchen counter and then I water them at the sink. So once I fill up this little section of my counter and then I start the watering, once they're watered, I let them sit at the sink for a moment, and then I bring them over to my kitchen table where I have trays where they can sit on for a few hours. So that's kind of the batch process. I'll go through this batch just to show you exactly what I do. And then I guess we'll probably just fast forward the rest because I don't think you need to see everything that I do in slow motion. But this is just the way that I like to water. I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm on some sort of schedule. There's some sort of method to my madness, if you will. And I do go by room. Like I said, I start in the office and then typically I'll come into the kitchen and check these ones, or the living room, just whatever I think needs it more. Um, but we'll get into the watering process now. And I'll show you kind of what I do for that with like my watering process and the feed. And I'll kind of explain that as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with this little baby Alocasia frydek variegated because it very, very, very much needs a drink. I have my little watering can right here. Now, this part of my process is probably the slowest and most attentive part of the process because I do like to give every plant the attention that it deserves and meet its specific needs as well as possible. So this is the most time-consuming part of my process. So for this little plant, I've got this much water. I know it's not a lot, but the reason that I do it this way is because I do feed them. I know this is backwards. I'm sorry. I'll put in an actual picture. I use the Schultz plant food, and I know some of you are probably going to come for me. I know it's a synthetic concentrate plant food. I understand. I would love to use organic. It's just a lot when you have a lot of plants, and it kind of smells, you know. But the way I see it is, I'm giving the plants what they need, and my plants love this stuff. They love it. They absolutely love it. But the reason I do it so individually is because this is a small pot. It's not going to need this whole thing of water. And this is a concentrate. So this is supposed to be like 7 drops of the food per 1 quart of water. And this is a liter of water, I'm pretty sure. So it's already diluted, but I do it based on specifically the plant. Like for this one, I'm going to use this much water and I'm going to put 2 drops in there. That just seems to be the mixture that works best for this specific plant right now. That's already, more than enough water for this pot, but I just want the feed to be diluted enough for it. So I just put the drops in the water. I just put 2 drops in this water, and then I water it at the sink because I know water is going to come rushing out the bottom. This is why most of my small plants, this is how I do it. I bring them to the sink and I let the water just run into the sink. Let them sit here for a minute, get most of the water out, and then I put them over in the trays. This pot is so small that like it just kind of instantly goes right through it. So that's why I give it a little bit more, a little bit extra, because I want to make sure that the roots are really actually getting some water. But this one is just like your normal liquid plant food. You'll see when I get to the euphorbias and the cacti, they also make a cactus brand, and it's amazing. But yeah, my plants really love this. I know it's not organic, but my plants love it, and they're getting what they need. So it satisfies me. So that's the little baby Alocasia frydek. And as far as the feed goes, yes, it is fall. Yes, we're going into winter. Yes, I am still feeding my plants because it's still growing. Like that's a whole new leaf coming up, a big one right there. So if the plant is still growing, I'm going to keep feeding it. It is very diluted. It's a very small amount of the plant food or fertilizer. But if it's growing, if I'm actively seeing new growth on the plant, I'm going to continue to give it the nutrients that it needs. Pretty simple. We're going to just continue with the alocasias because both of these just really, really, really need some water. So we're going to do the same thing with this one, maybe with just a tiny bit more water. And yes, I give my plants filtered water from the fridge. Actually, you know what? I always forget with these. I always forget with the alocasias. With the alocasias, actually, I like to give the alocasias distilled water with the plant food. So I'm going to do that. I get the little jugs of like the Pure Life distilled water. They're not that much from the store. I think they're only a couple of dollars, and they come in like 2.5 gallon jugs, and they last a pretty long time because there are only few plants that I give the distilled water to. The alocasias, the my one calathea, and then some of the Dracaena marginatas that I have, just because their leaves are so sensitive and they get dried out at the edges pretty quickly. So got some distilled water in here. And this one, I'm going to give 3 drops. It's just a little bit more than the, let's see if I can do it over here. It's a little bit more than the other one. So a little bit more water than the last one. So I'm going to give it 1 more drop than the last one. Boom. Alocasias like to be fed, from my knowledge and experience. They do like, they're somewhat heavy feeders. So this one, I'm not necessarily seeing new growth on it at the moment, but it did just give me a new leaf like 2 weeks ago. So it is still growing. So I will continue to feed it. And everybody waters differently. I give my plants a big, thorough drink when I water them, as you can see, because I let them dry out quite a bit. So now that this has been thoroughly watered, it's going to go back on that shelf and it's going to sit there until it dries out again. That's just my preferred method of watering. And my plants seem to really like it. So if it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it. We got the alocasias out of the way. I think next, just because they are right here, we'll go ahead and do the euphorbias, and then I can show you the cactus or succulent plant food. It's the same brand. It's the Schultz brand, but it's just a more formulated for cacti and succulents, I guess. I can move that a little bit. I just love these euphorbias so much. Definitely some of my favorites. So, same brand, the Schultz, but cactus. And the difference is the mixture, really. So the normal plant food is a mixture of 10% nitrogen, 15% phosphate, and 10% manganese or zinc. No, 10% iron, I guess. I don't know. I'm not very good with the scientific stuff. And then the cactus one is 2% nitrogen, 7% phosphate, and then 7% soluble potash. Yeah, again, not good with the science. But anyway, this is a succulent, so we're going to give it the cactus one. This one I do just give the filtered water from my fridge. It doesn't need the distilled water. I do prefer the filtered water from my fridge for like all of my plants other than the alocasias, the calathea, and the dracaenas, just because sometimes I just don't really know what's going on with the water from the sink. And as I've said, I like to give my plants exactly what they're, wanting. If there's certain chemicals or things in the sink water that the plants aren't going to get along with, then I don't want them to have them. So I do get the filtered water from my fridge. Now, because this is a bigger pot, I've got more water in here, decent amount of water. And for this amount of water, what I think I'm going to do, this is growing. I'll show you. These euphorbias grow very interestingly. They grow little leaves up at the top that turn into thorns. So when you see these little leaves up here, you know that it is actively growing. So for that much water, for this much water, I think I'm going to give this 4 drops of the cactus mix. I think that's sufficient for this one right now because they're not growing fast, but still growing nonetheless. Okay, got 4 drops in there. And then yes, even though this is a succulent, I do the same thing. These have been sitting, drying out. They're dry as a bone. So I'm going to saturate it. I'm going to give it a very, very large drink. I'm going to make sure the water is coming out of the bottom of this pot. I'm going to make sure every part of the soil gets saturated. And then it's the same process. Give it a really good, thorough drink. And then it goes back in the window to dry out. It's pretty much the process that I do with all of my plants, and they all tend to like it a lot. Just my process and what works for me in my environment with my plants. Like I said, everybody does things differently, but this is just my process. This is what I like to do. The other thing I do like to do with my cacti and succulents, though, this is another one of my think smarter, not harder, because plants get dusty, especially where I live. We have a lot of dust. So with my cacti and succulents, I take these little brushes, and while they're sitting here at the sink, I kind of just dust them off a little bit. That way, because I'm like, they're already here. They're already sitting here in front of me. Might as well just do it. I've just watered it. It's draining. I'm just going to dust it off real quick. That way, I don't have to worry about it. And then it goes back in its spot and it's dust free and has the potential to photosynthesize. And, instead of making that a batch thing, I tend to try to give each plant, like I said, the individual attention that it needs at one time. So this one, it comes out, it gets watered, it gets fed, it gets dusted. Everything's done. I don't have to worry about it. It's not something that I have to put on a to-do list. Oh, I need to dust the plants later. It all just gets done at once. To me, that's easier than putting it in different sections. At least to me, I guess. And these pots are really cool. I know that I've spoke about these pots before, but they're a gray color right now, but then they're so porous that it's going to soak up all the water that I just put in here, and it's going to turn black. It's really cool. I'm in love with these pots. Okay, we will do the other euphorbia. I did just dust these, though, the last time that I watered them, so I don't think I'm going to really focus on that. I just wanted to show you it's so simple. Just get a little brush, dust them off while they're there. While they're in front of you, might as well, why not? Get it over with. And now this one is also growing. These two Euphorbia Amex are on like the exact same schedule. This one is also growing, so we're going to give it the same amount of water and the same amount of food. I'm going to do 4 of the succulent cactus drops in here. Okay, got our 4 drops in here. These, like I said, are on the same exact schedule. They're growing, they're in the same pot, they're in the same soil with the same amount of water, same amount of drops. So just going to saturate this one again. I think we'll go ahead and do the blue torch cactus next, just because I'm on the cactus and succulent thing. The only plants that get the cacti succulent food is obviously the cacti and the succulents. Once we get on to the Hoyas and the philodendron that I have sitting over here, they're going to go back to the normal green plant food. But I just figured, since we're doing the cacti and succulents, we might as well just get that big blue torch cactus out of the way as well. Just let that stop draining real quick. These big guys over here. And I do, I'll show you, because I do the same thing with the cactus. So, little brush, dust it off. Works very well. And I try to do the same thing with the cactus. I'll show you. It's a little bit more of a tight space with the cactus because their spikes are more like together, but I try. Okay, now these blue torch cacti, they originally, when I got them at the store, I found them at Home Depot. It was there were 4 of them. So when I repotted it, I took one of them out and gave it its own pot, just because I think 3 of them look better than 4. But it had a huge root system. And so I gave it this big pot, and it seems to be doing great. It dries out rather quickly, so I'm not too worried about it. So this one might get a whole one of these. Okay, I've got basically a whole one of these. The whole thing is filled. I am going to kind of look this over. I think this is still growing very, very slowly. So even though I've got a whole can of water, I think I'm really only going to give it about 3 drops, just to be safe. I don't want to over fertilize something that is not really growing at the moment. So I want to give it a little bit of food, just because I do think it is still growing, but just not very much. So we're just going to go with 3 drops for this one. This is another thing where like you kind of just get to know your plants and what they need and what they're doing, and you really just kind of get a feel for it, So very, very diluted, weak feeding here, but it still needs water. It was very dry. Is still growing a tiny bit, so give it just a tiny bit of food. Not enough to really do much. I don't want to burn it though, and I still want to give it a little bit of nutrients. I can't wait to see the growth that these give me next summer. I'm really excited about that. Same with the other. I have another little tiny baby bunch of these blue torch cacti. There's 9 little babies in this one pot, and I am so excited about that. I can't even describe. I can't wait until they're even this size, let alone get really big. Oh, that's going to be amazing. And then, yeah, like I was saying with these two, it's a little bit tighter of a space, but you can kind of get the brush in there and just you know, dust them off, make sure that they're not getting too dirty. But I do love this little brush for this reason, because how else are you going to clean a cactus other than spray it down with some water, you know? And I don't want to do that all the time. So just giving it a nice little brush down is perfect. Okay, so I think the next one we're gonna do, I do have this philodendron over here that was really dry. It's got a new leaf unfurling here, so we're gonna go with this one next because I do think it really needs some water. This one will get the normal green plant food, same with the Hoyas. I think I'll just do this one, and then I might fast forward everything else just because you kind of get the gist of it now, you know? Um, these here, though, like these ones, I mean, you can brush these leaves, but what I typically like to do with these bigger leaves, and I'll show you, is I just get really like a wet little paper towel and just wipe them down, you know? I do the same thing with all of my plants. If they're here, they're in front of me, they're sitting here, they're accessible, they're draining their water, I might as well clean them, right? Make it easy. Put this one over here. Okay, so philodendron white knight. This plant is really pretty. It's got that really creamy white variegation. Look at this leaf. It's also got red. It's got like some red pink in there. Love this plant. I'm excited for it to get bigger. I have it on a little tiny stake back here because it is gonna grow upward. Very pretty plant. It's doing pretty well for me. I've gotten 2 to 3 new leaves from it already. And I believe I purchased that plant at my nursery maybe 2 months ago, around there. I don't know. I'll have to go back and see if I can find exactly when I bought it, but doing well for me. I'm surprised because my philodendron Birkin, on the other hand, is not doing very well for me. They never do for some reason. I keep trying and they never do very great. Okay, so this one I've got about halfway full. And because it is growing, I think I'm gonna do 3. I'm gonna do 3 drops in this one. I think that's plenty of the normal one. And same exact thing. Just saturate it, give it a really good drink. It was really dry, so I'm sure it's very thirsty. I don't let my plants dry out to the point of them wilting. That's not a good sign. But I want the soil to be dry. I don't want their roots to drown. So I let them dry out, not to the point of wilting, but just to where the soil is nice and dry. And then give them a really, really good drink. Seems to be what works best for my plants in my environment. Really excited for this one to get big too. It's such a pretty plant. So pretty. And then, like I was saying with these ones, I mean, I guess technically, yes, you could use a brush as well. There's no harm in that. But I just take like a little half of a paper towel, fold it up, and get it a little bit wet. Like not, you know, super wet, but just damp. And I try to do the bottom of the leaves as well as the top. And it gets rid of the dust and dirt so that it has the best chance in the world of growing and photosynthesizing. Goodness. And it also is really good pest prevention. Yeah, really good pest prevention as well. If you can just keep up on this, that way they don't really have a chance to get onto your plants, let alone sit there for too long or procreate, what have you. Okay, I've got all of my draining trays full here on my kitchen table. So we're gonna let these sit for a little while to drain any excess water before I put them back and we start on the new batch. Couple of things I did want to address. This dead stick over here that you saw me water and fertilize. So this is going to be a croton, and it was thriving over the summer. It was blooming. I mean, it was like growing like crazy, and it even gave me a flower. And then all of a sudden, it just lost all of its leaves. To be perfectly honest, these are not even my favorite plants. I don't really necessarily want this. The reason that I keep it and I'm trying to get it to come back, which it is, you can kind of see some new babies coming up here. That's why I fertilized it, because it is growing. It's trying to make a comeback. This was a random purchase that like I couldn't find anything else at the plant store when I went, and so I grabbed one. And I had it for a few months, and then my mom wanted a plant. So I gave her this one, and she had it for a year and kept it alive. It was doing great. Um, Sadly, unfortunately, she passed away. So I brought it back home. Hence the reason why I'm trying to keep it and trying to get it to come back. Um, if it didn't hold some sort of sentimental value, I probably wouldn't be even trying. But it is coming. It's growing. You see the little babes coming up. Second thing, this Ficus benjamina variegata, you can see it's not doing very great. It's slowly growing. I just had it in too dark of a space before I moved it into my office. It is doing better now that it's been in my office. It's still not in amazing condition, but it has stopped dropping its leaves. It doesn't look great right now, but it is coming back. So those were just two things that I wanted to explain, because you're like, why are you fertilizing these plants that are dying? They are not dying anymore. They are slowly growing. They were not in a good place before, but now they are starting to grow again. So we've got our next little batch here. I did let most of the first plants sit on the table in the draining trays overnight, and I just put all of them back. And then, as you saw, kind of just went around and checked the other side of the room. This is what we've got so far. Got our little half counter filled here. And we're just going to repeat the process, do the watering, do the feeding, put them on the trays. It is pretty repetitive. It's pretty redundant, I guess, but that's the life of, a plant mom. It does take a while because I haven't even gotten to the monsteras yet, or the other ones that are on the ground. I did water the large Ficus altissima last night on the ground, and you just saw that I watered the money tree that sits in the middle shelf, because those ones do have trays underneath them and they are a bit bigger. So those ones I do tend to water where they are. But these ones I'm going to bring to the sink like I just did, and we're going to water them at the sink. right, so these are the ones that we just finished watering. They're going to sit on the trays for a little while. I do still have some extra tray room here, so I think I might switch it up and do some of the ones in the kitchen window because I know they are rather thirsty. And then we'll go back and finish what we have in the office. I know I just wanted to point out, and I know that I, said all of this previously, but do I know that there is an easier and faster way to do this? Absolutely. I could definitely give every plant its own little tray where it is. I can give them less water. But to me, I don't mind. I don't mind doing this. I like doing this. It gives each plant the attention that it deserves. It allows me to clean them frequently. Um, if I didn't do this, I don't think that any of these plants would really ever get cleaned. It would just make cleaning them that much more difficult for me. And this is my hobby. This is what I enjoy doing. It's very therapeutic to me. And to know that I am able to give each and every one of these plants the attention, the cleaning, and the looking over them that they deserve, and the precise feeding, making sure they get enough water. I don't mind it. Yes, there's easier and quicker ways to do it, but this is how I like to do it, and I think that my plants very much appreciate it as well. All right, the trays are full now. So now these guys will sit here for a little bit, just depending on how long it takes them to fully drain. These right here, this is the my Philodendron Brazil. Love this plant. So beautiful. Look at these leaves. I love that it does actually get a tiny bit sun stressed. I have it in the window, so sometimes it gets a bit of a red tint, but it seems to love it. And this is my Scindapsus Platinum Java. These will probably go back up in the window shortly because they do have a tray up there. I just let them drain a little bit at the table and then put them back up there. This string of pearls stays up here, and I'm just really careful about the way that I water it. It does have a tray, and I just make sure that the tray does not overfill because it's really difficult to get down. Like, these tend to be rather sensitive plants, so I don't want to mess with the vines. It's gonna just stay on this little holder for as long as possible, and I don't mess with it. Everything else I, want to give such a thorough watering to, so I do bring it down to the sink. And I'm sure you noticed I did not give these guys a shower because they actually got a shower their last watering, which is a little bit over a week ago, so they should be fine. The rest of these did need it. It had been a while. So we got the kitchen window, and seems like more than half of the office done at this point. Again, yes, very tedious, very time consuming, but it's what I like to do. I enjoy it. I enjoy caring for my plants. It's very therapeutic and bonding to me. Helps me to assure that I am giving them everything that they need as well. So after this, I think what we'll do once I'm able to put some of these back is we're going to circle back to the office, start in the Monstera corner, and we'll get those ones checked out and squared away. table full of monsteras and one large Kimberly Queen fern. I do apologize, please forgive me. I had to water the fern on my lunch break from work. I realized it was almost an emergency situation. She was getting pretty crispy. So I'm so sorry. I did not take you along for the adventure of the fern, but it's really not all that interesting. The hard part is just kind of getting up under everything. I have her in a nice place. She's, in my front window. She loves the light that she's getting there, but there is also a heater vent right under her, so she dries out pretty quickly. And ferns like moisture, so had to do that real quick. So sorry. These two in the front here, these are some of the monsteras that I propagated and I potted up in one of my previous videos. These are the biggest monstera leaves that I've personally ever grown, hoping to get some bigger ones off of this plant back here. This bigger plant, I think the next couple times, I think this might be the last time that I bring this one to the kitchen for watering. It is getting pretty big. This is my little baby Albo that I got as a one leaf cutting and have waited so long to get some new growth off of it. So it's finally happening and I couldn't be more excited. And way back here, we've got the Thai constellation. I'm really, really hoping, fingers crossed, that the next leaf I get is going to be fenestrated like this one is. So far, that's been the only fenestrated variegated leaf that I have in my collection. And one thing I also did off camera, just because it was kind of difficult to get to, was the beautiful, oh my gosh, the Ficus Benjamina variegata from my office corner. That one needed a shower, so I actually did it in my bathtub, in my guest bathroom, and I watered it in there as well, and now she's just going to sit in there and drain. There really is only a couple other plants in the office that need some watering. Two of the Dracaena marginatas, both of those need water. And then one of my Ficus altissimas also needs some water. So those will probably be next on the list. And then we can move on to the living room. These are all of my monsteras except for the one that I have in my bedroom. The one that I have in my bedroom is the very last leaf from the propagations that I took. I cut up my huge monstera plant and propagated it, and I left one leaf in the plant, and that is in my bedroom. It is giving me new growth. I am not going to do the bedroom plants in this video just because I actually watered them recently, so I don't think they're ready for any water. And also, they're just kind of difficult to get to. Some of them are fine, but some of them are up on a shelf above my bed. So it's just a little bit difficult to get to. Plus, they don't really need the water right now. So those will be the only section that I'm not gonna do in this video. But the office and the living room have most of the plants anyway. So we're gonna let these drain out a little bit, bring them back. We'll do the rest of whatever plants need the watering from my office, and then we can move on to the living room. right, here's the next little batch. Now this one here, this little tiny Ficus altissima did come from the office. So that will be the last one from the office, as well as the Dracaenas that I have in the bathtub because they needed a little shower. These three, the two pothos and the little baby Dracaena propagation came from kind of the area in between my living room and kitchen. And then these two are the start of the living room area. This is a small large form bird of paradise. And this is the Dracaena Song of India. Both of these are pretty much quite dry, so we're going to start there. And there's really not that much left in the living room. Most of them, surprisingly, like I have some bigger trees out here, and the bigger of the two bird of paradise that I do actually water where they are. So there's going to be that, and then just a couple other small ones. So we're almost done. It's quite the journey watering all of these plants. I will tell you, when I'm not filming it, it doesn't take quite as long. I still go through the same exact process, but the filming part of it and setting things up takes a little bit longer. So this has been filmed over a series of days. But hopefully here soon, all of my plants will be watered and happy. All right, guys, we are finally getting to the last part of this video in my living room here. This big, well, it's not that big, but one of my bigger plants, large form bird of paradise here. I need to figure out an alternative because how I've been having to water this over the fall season is pulling it out from its corner and then putting one of my old raggedy towels underneath it and then putting this on top of the towel to water it. That way the floor doesn't get ruined. This is not going to continue to work because this plant is only going to keep getting bigger and heavier. And of course I put it in this weird square awkward pot, which I love. I think it looks wonderful, but I didn't really think of the functionality of it. So I don't know, maybe I can find a big square tray to put underneath it. I didn't really think about that because the trays that I have right now are not big enough. And so this is what I've been having to do just about every week is, rearrange this and then pick it up and put it on the towel, and it's heavy. So I know it's just going to keep getting heavier. So yeah, I'm going to look into a large square tray for this one. I did just wipe this down, and for some reason my camera decided that it didn't want to record. I thought it was recording. So all I did with this one was the same thing. I took a wet paper towel and just wiped down the tops and the bottom of the leaves. And so now I'm going to put it back onto the towel and we're going to give it some water. And then I'll leave it on that towel for a couple of days just to make sure that it's drained everything into the towel, and then I will pick it back up and take the towel away. But this is the beginning of the living room, and then I kind of just go in a circle from there, check everything, water the things that need to be watered. But I just wanted to address this guy because I'm just kind of struggling with having to move it every time, and it's just going to keep getting bigger. So hopefully I can find a large square tray to put it on so I don't have to keep picking it up. We'll see. I'll let you know if I find one big enough. Alrighty, we are just about at the end of this watering and cleaning and feeding journey here. Just a couple things I did want to point out. I did move my philodendron Birkin from right here to over there where the lipstick plant was. I don't know if you guys saw or noticed a lot of the browning leaves on it. The Birkin really is a plant that I tend to struggle with for some reason, and I think that the browning leaves are mainly due to a lighting issue, because this is the one spot that really does not get a lot of light. I've got a grow light up here, and that does give this area really good light. Even the fern gets some pretty good light, but this area does not get some very good light. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep alternating the lipstick plant and the Birkin so that both of them can get the light that they need. Hopefully that works. The Birkin was one of the ones that I did water, I think, last week, and it does not need a drink. So I just moved it, hoping that it's going to get enough light, and hopefully that fixes the browning leaves. The fern, I just watered it a day or two ago, and I think that her roots have finally spread pretty good into this pot that I just put her in. And surprisingly, I mean, I'm going to double check her. I'm going to take her down and double check and make sure that I'm not going crazy. But I think she was dried out already. I do think, I do have a vent under her, so that could be making her struggle a little bit. But I'm going to take her down. I'm going to check her. If she's dry again already, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a deep bottom watering. I'm going to fill one of my trays. I'm going to put her in the tray, and then I'm going to water the plant and let the water go into the tray. And then I'm going to let her sit there for a while so that she can get both the top and the bottom watering and hopefully completely saturate her soil, and all of her roots can get the water that they need. So we'll do that. And then I just have one more plant at the sink that I'm going to water, and that would be my pygmy date palm. And I just figured, for me at least, it's been a few days since the beginning of recording this video. So I just wanted to circle back while I water that plant and revisit, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, why I do it this way. Method to my madness, I guess. So yeah, let's go do that. We'll do the pygmy date palm, and then we will revisit Miss Kimberly Queen Fern over here. Okay, so this is the beautiful Large and in Charge pygmy date palm. It's actually one of my newer plants, but is growing still. And that kind of leads me into the subject of this and why I'm doing what I do. This one is almost getting too big to water at the sink soon here too. But again, just to reiterate, I'm not going to repeat myself a million times, but I just want to touch back on why I'm doing what I'm doing. I like to individually spend the time with my plants and give them the care and the attention that they need and the nutrients, because every plant is different. Not every plant needs the exact same thing or the exact same amount of water or the exact same amount of fertilizer. Some of them go into a dormancy, and some of them are still growing. It is fall, almost winter here, and the plants that are still actively growing, I am still going to give them a very diluted amount of fertilizer, as you've seen, just to make sure that they are still getting the nutrients that they need because they're still growing. Now, plants that are not growing, some plants that do tend to go into a dormancy, I'm not going to feed those because that could cause, fertilizer burn. If they're not growing, they're not going to be using the nutrients. But if they're growing, I'm going to continue giving them the nutrients that they need. And yes, I know, like I've said, I know I'm doing this the hard way. but I like it. Like I said, this is my hobby. This is therapeutic to me. I like taking care of the plants. I know that I could just put a tray under each and every plant and just walk around and water them that way. But I really like the opportunity to um, pick them up and see them and analyze them and look at them and give them the attention that they need. Um, the only reason, I don't know what all of this is. It's like, oh, you know what? When I bought this at the nursery, it was like Halloween time, and they had a bunch of Halloween decorations up, and I'm literally pulling fake cobwebs off of this plant right now. Um, that stuff is so hard to remove because I was literally just going to say, I gave this one a shower last week. So that's the reason this one is getting watered at the sink where all of the rest of them got, put into the shower. But apparently the shower did not get rid of any fake cobwebs. um, okay, anyway, let's get into it. I'm done repeating myself. But yes, I like to give them the attention. I like to analyze them and see them and check them and make sure that they're getting exactly what they need. And that's why I do it the hard way, I guess. And this one, it is still growing. It's not growing very fast. And this is new soil. The soil that I use is already pretty nutritious. So because it is growing slowly and it's in new soil, I am going to give it an entire thing of water, but I'm only going to give it 2 drops. So it's super diluted. It's still getting a little bit of extra nutrients for its growth, but super diluted because I don't want it to get too much, if that makes sense. So we're just going to give it the whole thing of water, the 2 drops. And again, I know you've seen, I try to evenly water every part of the soil. Sometimes it's hard with certain plants, like as you saw with the like some of the Hoyas and some of the lipstick plant. They kind of grow all over the pot, so it can be kind of hard to get to every single part of the soil. But I definitely try. This one's a little bit more open for me to evenly water. But yeah, she's just gonna get one of these watering cans, the 2 drops, and she will be happy. I guess later I need to kind of go through her and see if I find any more fake cobwebs, because the shower didn't help with those. But anyway, I'm really excited for this to get big. This is a really interesting plant to me. Like, I had never actually seen this before until I found it at the nursery, and they're pygmy date palms. So it's like they're miniature palm trees when they get big. I'll try to throw a picture in because they're really cool. They're really neat and they're cool and they're cute. So I am excited for this one to be like literally an indoor palm tree. Very exciting. And lastly, we are going to go ahead and go get the fern and recheck the fern and possibly give her a very deep top and bottom watering. So let's go get her now. Okay, here we have the beautiful Miss Kimberly Queen Fern. And this is what I'm talking about. You can kind of see, she's getting a little crispy, and she just started doing this. And so I think I'm not giving her enough water. And ferns are something that I have actually always struggled with. I got a Boston fern and it lasted about a week and was like, I hate my life here and I hate you and I'm done. And so I was like scared to get another one. I have a little baby lemon button fern. I'm pretty sure you guys saw it. It did get watered. And all of a sudden that one was doing so good that I was like, I kind of want to try the fern again. And then I found this huge, beautiful Kimberly Queen fern at my nursery. and it was super cheap. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I'm pretty sure I got her like in the middle of summer, so probably like July. And since then, she's been doing wonderful. It's just recently, which makes sense. You know, plants do go through cycles with the seasons. It's deep fall now, like going into winter. So of course, they're not going to stay as perfect as they would during the spring and the summer. But this is why it's kind of up to us, if we have them in our home, to pay attention to them, to give them the attention they need, to give them the care and the nutrients that they need. Um, and this one I've noticed is just kind of struggling a little bit right now. On top of that, I did just water her a day ago, but when I went and checked her, she read dry again. She's still reading dry. So that kind of shocked me because I just watered her. So I'm just going to check, you know, all of the most of the angles here because I don't want to over water. But yeah, she's getting crispy. So I think what's happening is, so I just put her in this pot not too long ago, and the root ball that I put into the pot and then backfilled with soil, the root ball itself is really dense. When I try to stick this in there, it's really dense. And so I think what's happening is when I top water, the water is going around the root ball, but not going all the way in to the root ball because it's so dense. So I think, yeah, I think this might have to be what I'm going to start. Wow, can't talk. This is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start putting her on a tray. And what I'm going to do is I've got my water here. I think I'm going to give her one drop because I did just feed her 2 days ago. And I don't have to feed them every time, you know. I just want to make sure that they are getting some nutrients if they're growing, like I just said. And she is still growing, even though she's a little crispy. Look, you can see some unfurling over here. So she is still growing. So I'm going to go ahead and give her one more drop with almost this whole thing of water, maybe. Now, this is going to depend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to top water her, and then the water is going to fall into this tray down here. Now, when the tray starts to get full, then clearly I'm going to have to stop watering. I'm hoping it will take most of this, but we'll see. So, and again, you know, with the fern, like I try to get as much as possible. This is one of those ones that's kind of hard to get because the plant is just all over the place. So that's why I think that this top and bottom watering is going to be beneficial. That way I know that, you know, I'm covering everything that I can with the top watering, and then she's going to sit in the tray of water to soak up as much water as she needs and hopefully saturate the entire pot and root ball. Because I really do think that's what's happening is the root ball itself is just so dense. So what's happening is the water is just going straight through it and not actually reaching the middle of the roots. So this might be the thing for the fern from now on. You guys, I might need more water. I was not expecting that. I thought that this was going to completely fill this tray, but she's just now barely draining into the tray. I'll let that drain for a minute and see how much we get, but I might have to give this some more water, surprisingly. And it's not too crazy when you think about it. Ferns really do like their water. And that was my mistake with the Boston fern, was I was like, oh, well, ferns really like water. So I totally overwatered it. This one I still do. Typically, I let it dry out decently. I don't let it get, you know, completely bone dry, but I let it dry out pretty good because any plant, any and all plants, like you don't want to drown them, you know? So even ferns, I let them dry out a little bit. But again, that's going to depend on your environment and how you care for your plants. This is just how I do it. Sorry if you guys can hear that. I'm at the fridge getting some more water because apparently she is extremely dehydrated and thirsty. I'm quite impressed, honestly. I yeah, I don't know. That's another thing you kind of have to look out for. Like, just because a plant is, say you water the plant and the water's coming out of the bottom of the pot, um, that doesn't mean that it's thoroughly watered. You know, that could just be going down the sides of the pot and straight out of the pot. And that's exactly what I'm dealing with here. It's not really reaching the middle of the plant and getting the actual big middle of the root ball here. So you gotta, this is kind of why I like the clear pots, even though you can't really see all the way into the middle of them, but you get to know your plants, you know, and that's what I'm saying about the fern. It's like I've noticed for some reason lately she's not doing as well as she had been for a while. So something is clearly going on, and I'm glad that I checked her because I just watered her the other day, so I would have just left her sitting there, you know, for another week before checking her again. But I'm glad that I did because I don't want her to die. But yeah, I'm like, she's dropping some leaves, she's crispy, so I think this will definitely help. So, oh my goodness. Okay, I think I'm gonna do even just a little bit more. I think I might have to do this in the bathtub next time. But I have some other plants sitting in the bathtub right now, draining and drying off from their little shower. Okay, well, I'm also going to take this time to tell you guys the holidays are hectic for me because I do work full time, and I typically tend to end up getting a lot of people coming over for the holidays. I have to work, I have to clean, I have to cook, I have to do all of the things. And I know everybody does, but I apologize because I know that it's been a while since, well, maybe not that long, but to me it seems like a while since I have put out a video. So thank you all for your patience. Again, I hope you all are having a wonderful holiday season. I know that next month is also going to be a bit hectic for me with Christmas, but I'm going to do my best to get something out, at least a few different videos out, hopefully. I think I might try to do, you know, some like spotlights of the week, just kind of focus on one plant or another. If you guys are interested in that, go over my care of them, kind of go over like the history of them. I don't know. We'll see what I come up with. Another thing too, I know that I pointed out the bonsai that I have that is struggling and needs help, and then those little cacti that need to be repotted. I think I'm going to save that for another video. I do need to do that. So I'll probably do that within the next couple of days and turn that into its own video. And just because this one, it really took a lot more and a lot longer than I really thought it was going to. You really don't realize how many plants you have until you're trying to put it into a video of how you care for each of them. So this has taken me about 3 days to do. And it's, like I said, not even every plant in my house. This is just all of the plants that needed to be watered. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you maybe learn something from this, or at least just, you know, understand my madness here. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful, planty, fantastic day, and I will see you all in the next one.